Ladies and gentlemen, in the three shows that I'm about to talk about, almost every single championship was on the line. We're talking about NXT, 205 Live, and Lucha Underground. This is the midweek wrap-up. Now, normally we would also talk about the Mae Young Classic, but with 4 hours of TV to watch every single Wednesday, it makes it very difficult to watch all of that, get the video done, and still have it up at a reasonable time. So, we're still going to talk about the Mae Young Classic, but what we're going to do is we're going to wait till the first round is over, then talk about all of the first round matches as a whole, and then do that for each round of the tournament. Obviously, we'll be talking about the finals when we do our review of WWE Evolution, but for the rest of the tournament, we'll be talking about them round by round and letting you know our thoughts on the tournament. So, let's kick off midweek wrap-up with NXT, where we had Lacey Evans and Aaliyah defeat Dakota Kai and Deonna Purrazzo in tag team action. Velveteen Dream was conducting an interview, and then people started asking him about Aleister Black, and he's like, no, you don't ask the Velveteen Dream about other people during an interview with the Velveteen Dream. And so he walked away. The Street Profits were approached by someone who was like trying to do their own version of Street Talk, where like the Profits usually talk into like a Snapchat video or something like that, and they started asking a couple questions. And the most intriguing one was Montez commenting on the just chains. Like, the person asked, like, you know, the Mighty stole your chains, and that's what made you lose your match. Like, why'd you care about these chains if they're just chains? And Montez gives a reasoning that they're actually important, that it symbolizes their starting from nothing and then, becoming something, their success story, they reached a goal. And so it was cool that Montez really put a personalization on something that is synonymous with him, that he's always wearing that chain, so it obviously means something to him. And the fact that he's like really honed in on what it means is pretty cool. So needless to say, Street Profits and the Mighty are probably not done. Bianca Belair is still undefeated, and that's still annoying. Jackson Riker was in singles action, representing the Forgotten Sons. He defeated Humberto Carrillo, who seems like he's extremely agile. I'd like to see more of that guy, but Jackson Riker's a monster and just destroyed this guy. Candice LeRae was the newest person to be in William Regal's office, talking about the attack on Aleister Black. Saying that, she was with Kairi Sane and Cassius. She also commented saying that, all the signs kind of point to Tommaso, so maybe it was him. But then William Regal kind of like brings in like, well, can you tell me exactly where Johnny was? And so it seems like Johnny has a fairly stable alibi, but it's not totally sure. Still a lot of room for a lot of wiggle room where he could have gone and attacked Aleister prior, so it's hard to tell. We had a Keith Lee vignette, him talking about who is Keith Lee and what is Limitless. Very cool, like his definition of his moniker Limitless, saying that everything that he's accomplished, his ability to keep going and keep trying and everything, that like his talent is limitless, his ability is limitless, his room to grow in NXT is limitless. So very cool to hear from Keith Lee what that means. Next week we're going to get Lars Sullivan in action. They kind of went back over the thing that happened between him and EC3. So there's a good chance that EC3 will make his TV return and potentially get involved in the Lars Sullivan situation. And we also have Dozer taking on NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa. But our main event was champion versus champion. UK champion Pete Dunne defending his title against Ricochet, the North American champion, defending his championship. Ooh, sorry about that noise. My bad. This match was insane. Absolutely fantastic. Both guys just giving it their all. Destroying one another, the comebacks. A lot of people give people like Ricochet a lot of shit that he doesn't sell, but man, like the work that Pete Dunne was doing on his arm, he sold through that whole match. And then like he kept going back to his head because he was like he kept getting kicked in the head. Pete Dunne, the wrestling between the two was insane. The back and forth like one-upsmanship was crazy. The crowd was loving it. Full Sail was on fire through the entirety of this match. And what most people expected, there was no clear winner. There was no contest due to interference and a beatdown on both guys from the Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era was run off by the War Raiders. So we definitely have a 4-person contingency that now has an issue with Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era needs to watch out because they're officially on the most wanted list from Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders. So y'all need to cool your jets because it's not going to look good for you. Then on 205 Live, we had TJP defeat Lince Dorado by pulling his mask off and then rolling him up for a schoolboy. Next week, we're going to get Lio Rush versus Noam Dar. Lio Rush saying that he wasn't going to be able to compete against Noam Dar due to his obligation to Bobby Lashley on Monday Night Raw. And Drake Maverick's like, well, if you don't fulfill your obligations, you're not going to get paid. So we will get Lio versus Noam Dar next week, and we'll also get the return of Mustafa Ali, and he'll go against Hideo Itami. But our main event was Cedric Alexander defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak a few times looked like he had it in the bag, but the resiliency of Cedric Alexander was too much, and he is still your WWE Cruiserweight Champion. And then there was a small interview with Buddy Murphy, who says, I gotta give it to Cedric. He did great. He's been a great champion, but people tune in to see me. And when we head to my hometown of Melbourne, Australia for Super Showdown, he will be the new Cruiserweight Champion. Then on Lucha Underground, we had some chaos on Lucha Underground this week. So we open up with Phoenix taking on Aerostar. Phoenix turning on Aerostar last week in the Trios Championship match. Phoenix is not right. Aerostar's having a rough season. He's already had to deal with Drago being just upset at himself for all the stuff he did with the Reptile Tribe, and now he's trying to bring Phoenix back, and it's been a rough ride for Aerostar. Of course, he knew this was going to happen. So Phoenix ends up defeating Aerostar, and Melissa. Phoenix keeps going back and beating up Aerostar after the match, and Melissa's trying to tell Phoenix, hey, you need to calm down. This isn't you. You need to get help. Go find someone, get help. And then Phoenix starts going after Melissa. He's actually thwarted by Dragon Azteca Jr. Dragon Azteca is then thrown up onto the apron, spin kick into the face, and then a Michinoku driver on the outside. He's beat to shit. And we saw last week that Martin the Moth paid to get a championship match, and Antonio Cueto almost strips the title off of Dragon because he was saying that he's unfit to compete, and Dragon's like, no, I'm going to compete. You don't have to strip the title. And he's like, okay, if you say so. So we did have the match where Marty the Moth did defeat El Dragon Azteca Jr. and is the new Gift of the Gods champion. Then we had a little bit where Paul London went to go see the White Rabbit, saying, hoping that he's appeased him by sacrificing both Malasuerte and Saltador. The White Rabbit was like, well, you seem to be missing a couple people, and isn't quite impressed with what Paul London has done with the Rabbit Tribe. So, to replace his two fallen members, Paul London is now leading the White Rabbit and his little buddy in the cage to the temple. So we have a brand new Rabbit Tribe of Paul London, little buddy. He might have had a name. If you did watch and he does have a name, please post down in the comments. Not spoilers. If they didn't say it, don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure he just called him Little Buddy. But the White Rabbit is officially part of the Rabbit Tribe. I'm wondering if he'll have a different name. Curious about that. And then in our main event, Pentagon Dark defeated both Mil Muertes and King Cuerno in a triple threat match to retain the Lucha Underground Championship. He was then quickly attacked by Marty the Moth. His mask was ripped. He was just beat down unceremoniously, continuously. And then Antonio came out and said, Dario made the rule that the gift of the gods could only be exchanged a week in advance so he could promote the match. And talks about how Marty paid... Marty made a very good argument as to why that's a stupid idea. And so in Antonio's temple, the gift of the gods can be exchanged at any time. Now we know where that extra money went. Immediately makes the championship match. Marty immediately goes for a pin. Pentagon kicks out. And Marty's having trouble keeping Pentagon down. Pentagon gets back up and he's just going crazy on Marty. He's getting ready to win again. Marty ends up on the outside. Penta's he's raring to go. And then we get the debut of a new crazy lady. It's the debut of Chelsea Green. Not quite sure what her name is going to be yet. Don't know what her character's name is. But she did, in fact, sneak up behind Pentagon, flip him around, hit a low blow while the referee was distracted, helping Marty on the outside. Marty gets back in, drops Pentagon, and Marty the Moth Martinez is the new Lucha Underground champion. And he has a crazy-ass girlfriend. Interesting. So, yeah. Needless to say, lots of things happened. Gonna go through. I'm gonna give you a couple of likes here on behalf of Kevin Hawk, who's dealing with some personal stuff at the moment. But let's see. I'm sure he would love the fact that Marty the Moth is the champion. He might even make that his love. But I think just the idea of this, how underhanded everything is in Lucha Underground, paying your way, Mariposa doing it, now Marty doing it, just the idea that you could pay your way to a championship match and then take advantage the way that he did and win the championship is just such a good heel move. We're big fans of Marty the Moth. He's been one of the most interesting characters, needless to say, on Lucha Underground, just with how fucking nuts he is. So all that has been really fun to watch, and the idea of Marty the Moth being the champion in Lucha Underground, I don't even know where the rest of Season 4 is going to go, but I'm very, very interested in it. I also really like... I liked TJP versus Lince Dorado, because Lince was lighting TJ up. He had some busted blood vessels on the side of his chest, on the side of his face and stuff. But then to have TJ really have TJP use that really underhanded, always the weakness of a luchador, pulling the mask off and everything, and use that to his advantage. I know Kevin Hawk probably doesn't care about TJP, but I do. I like TJP to a certain point. And I thought it was a creative way for TJP to get a little bit more heat. This also moves the entirety of Lucha House Party in a different direction. Not sure if anyone's going to be teaming up with TJP to face, the trio of Lucha House Party, but it'll be interesting to see if TJP ends up keeping with a feud against these three. A couple of loves. You can't love anything more than the insane amount of athleticism and passion and just unbelievable talent that we saw between Pete Dunne and Ricochet. I really can't put anything up at the same level of this. It was too good. It was, the fans were chanting "Fight Forever," and sometimes it gets chanted too much. It originated in the Shinsuke versus Sami Zayn match in NXT. It's very much an NXT chant. This was another match where it definitely deserved to be chanted because these two put on one hell of a show. It was, I mean, there were a few times where I thought one of them was potentially walking out a double champion, even though, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, no, they're not going to give two titles to one guy. Undisputed Era's got to get involved somehow. But just the idea that there was multiple times where I was like, okay, Ricochet is going to be a double champion. Oh, wait, no, Pete Dunne's going for the bitter end. He's going to be a double champion. There's so many things like that, and it was heart-stopping action, fantastic job from everyone. You know, and it's one of those situations where it's like, I don't mind. It makes so much sense for this to become a no contest because Undisputed Era, you know, even though last week Adam Cole was like, yeah, this is scouting. You know, I'm gonna end up beating both of them anyway. I love the idea that it's like, okay, yeah, you guys had your moment and now we're gonna ruin it. But then the thought never crosses their mind. They're like, oh yeah, we pissed off the War Raiders as well, and they're coming for our tag team titles. So yeah, now they're mad at us, and so it's just it's a cool collection of stories. And I mean, if Bobby Fish is good to go, you got a 4 vs 4 War Games, and War Games is only 2 months away, so you could definitely keep building towards that. So yeah, Pete Dunne, Ricochet. Absolutely love. Some dislikes. I know he would dislike TJP. He would dislike TJP winning. He had also disliked Drew Gulak losing. As good as the Cruiserweight title match was, it was another one of those things where it just makes Drew Gulak and the Gulak look very weak. The fact that he usually puts people away so quickly with it. I mean, pairing it with the tenacity of Cedric Alexander, it's hard to say, oh yeah, that would put Cedric down. But, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. You know, he's put Cedric down with it before. It's just, I don't know. It was a great match. And, I mean, it makes more sense to have the babyface versus the Australian heel when they go to Australia. So needless to say, I mean, I didn't think about it before. I didn't think it was going to happen before, but now I'm pretty sure that Buddy Murphy's going to be walking out with that title, especially if he's going to be going to his hometown. So I don't know. We'll see. I didn't dislike the match. I feel like Drew Gulak deserves a little bit more. And I'm sure Kevin Hawk agrees that Drew Gulak deserves to be at the top of the mountain in 205 Live. I also dislike that they're still calling it 205 Live. It's not live. It's just 205. Just call it 205. I mean, you were still recorded it after SmackDown and potentially after the Mixed Match Challenge, which that's got to be a lot. Like, people are already leaving 205 Live. But then you have the Mixed Match Challenge, you have 2 other matches in between, and then you have the entire hour of 205 Live. That's got to be a lot. You should do that different. I guess there are rumors that they're going to be doing 205 Live at Full Sail, so maybe that'll change later on. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, I think that's it. It was a super solid midweek. I mean, 3 awesome shows we now have. I'm going to be watching the Mae Young Classic probably tomorrow. Just so, I'm going to watch each episode and that's what we're going to do. We're just going to put them all together, talk about the tournament as a whole. We're not going to, put it with anything else. It's going to be all about the Mae Young Classic. Which I think will be good because the ladies deserve a spotlight all to themselves. It's really hard to compare the women's action on Mae Young Classic along things like Lucha Underground and NXT and now 205 Live. It's just there's so much going on. The ladies deserve their own spotlight. It's a major tournament heading into a major show. So yeah, we'll be giving a lot of love to the Mae Young Classic and WWE Evolution. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Post down in the comments what you liked, loved, disliked about NXT, Lucha Underground, 205 Live. What are your thoughts on Marty the Moth being champion? What are you one of the people that didn't quite like Pete Dunne versus Ricochet because of how not wrestling it's wrestling? Just leave it alone. But feel free to talk about it. Let's just make a discussion. We like talking about wrestling, so post down in those comments how you felt. Be sure to click all the links, follow us on all the various social medias, check out our podcast. It's a SoundCloud link where you get this review and all of our regular reviews in podcast form. Go back and check out our Hell in a Cell review from this past Sunday. And, of course, check out Reasonable Wrestling Fans. It's reasonable with a W, like wrestling. Where we have the list with Kevin Hawk, Question of the Week with Thomas Wolfe. Every single month we have an unboxing video from Pro Wrestling Crate where we get cool little micro brawlers, shirts, all types of stuff. Be sure to check out that stuff. And there's other videos that are loosely based around wrestling. But for now, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next. And Kevin Hawk would probably kill me if I didn't say, fuck Modus.